Okay, so what we're going to do here is run through a quick example on how to add hatch lines or shading to any of the exported PDFs that you'll get from Layout. In a previous video, I already created an object in SketchUp and then moved it to Layout. So we're going to use that as an example. Okay, so here it is. Now to export, all you have to do is go to File, Export, PDF. We'll call it Hatch Lines Example. We're going to get all the pages. Remember always to use a high resolution on the output. The export is pretty quick. And again, I'm using Nitro PDF as my default PDF editor. Anyway, let's go through here and look for a decent image that we can get some good angles on. Probably the ISO at the bottom. There it is. Oh yeah, beautiful. So let's use this, okay? So we're going to open this PDF and we're going to open it in Illustrator. Okay, so here it is. We want to move to the last page, which is the ISO image. There it is. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is lock the layer, because we're going to add lines to this and we don't want the lines, the originals, to interfere with that process. And by the way, when you export from Layout, it retains all the paths that you created. So you can do some serious edits if you want to. In this case, we're just adding to it. We're not going to modify the existing. Add an extra layer. We're going to punch this up a little bit. It's a little too small. Let's do 80 or 90. That's fine. Ah, much better. Okay. Let's zoom in a little bit. Go to the line tool. Let's start with this side. We're going to start with this margin. We're going to move to this edge over here. Go to the black arrow, highlight them both. There they are. Go to Object, Blend, Blend Options, Steps, and this is where it's a bit of an art form. We have to figure out enough lines that make the shading consistent, but not too many to make it dark. So what we're going to do here is, let's go with 40. Okay, go to Object, Blend, Make. Okay, so we'll do it again. I want a little more extra lines to tighten that up a little bit. Control Z, Object, Blend, Blend Options. Let's punch that up to 49, and then Object, Blend, Make. I know I can do Control Alt Control B, but I want to go through this process so it sort of sticks in your mind. Alright, much better. And so we use 49. We want to make a note of that because we're going to use the same thing on this margin, but we might use something different on the surface area. So the way I notate that in my workflow is I simply go here, I'll say margin 49, so I know it's 49 lines. Okay, so now what we do is expand, Object, Expand, keep all the defaults, click OK, and now we can edit these lines individually, or we can do it as a group if we wanted to. We're going to go to Erase, Watch this. See that? So you get the idea, you know where this is going already. You're going to use Control Z heavily as you sort of figure out how you want your lines to look for shading. So let's, I don't know, make that a little smaller. There we go. Nice, even. No, I don't like that. Nope. Okay, I can work with that. Smoother arch. It seems kind of silly, but this works great. Okay. And you can kind of play with it as long as you got your hands over Control Z. There's really no way you're going to screw this up. Okay. Okay. So now you can keep a couple of these, you can remove them, you can move them around. Want to find a better spot for it. Like you got a pattern you like, but you don't like where it's located. Go back to erase. Alright, so that's, you get the idea, right? Let's go back quite a bit. I'm going to try something different. Control C, Control V. All right, well, I think that works. Maybe tighten this up a little bit. Now there are standards in your actual shading. USPTO Line actually has those laid out for you. Shows you where the light angle should come from on a 45-degree angle. The light angles actually will create a shading pattern that shows you the surface area of your largest view. Now, all this is in there. Okay, you just have to go to the site, the links are in the description, and check out the details on shading. So that covers it for this side. We're going to unlock this. Probably could have done a little better job, but as an example, I think this is fine. Create another layer and repeat the same process. Go to lines. Grab them both. Object, blend. We're going to use make. The blend options will reflect the same values we put in before, which is 49, right? So we can keep that and then just go to object, blend, make, boom. Okay. Then object expand. Keep all the defaults. Go to the eraser and then get started. So in this case, maybe I want to do the same thing. I just want to point out that there are other tools that will add these lines automatically. I think Dassault SolidWorks would do it, Fusion 360 would do it. There's a way you can add shading and SketchUp layout, but it's not the best tool for it, and it's real tricky to get it right. You have to create your own patterns and all this. It's I'd much rather do the finishing work in Illustrator. Lock the layer, make another one. Let's give this better description. Okay, so this is the, call this original. Let's call it import. This is the right margin. We use 49. Blended steps. Let's do this one. Left margin 49. We're going to do this. Call this a surface. And I don't want to use blue. It's kind of hard to see. Let's do magenta. Dark purple, violet works okay. And again, we're going to use the same process. We're going to grab the line. We're going to follow the existing edges. So in this case, we can kind of infer where those edges are going to be. So I can use these two or these two, and I'm going to prefer to use these two. Okay, same process. Object, blend options. It's a much wider space, so 49 is not going to cut it. Let's do 60. Let's do 70. Object, blend, make. Not what I wanted. Okay. So I know what happened here. Let's Control Z and then Control Z again. So that gives us just a 1. Now in this case, what we're going to do is using the black arrow and having the object selected. If you hit Alt and then hover over it, see how you get duplicate arrows? That means we're about to duplicate that line. All we have to do is drag it. So we're just going to drag it off like this. It's not perfectly on there, but this is just an example. So you get the idea. You can spend all the time in the world on some of your drawings, and you'll probably get really good at it. It only takes maybe about 30 minutes of doing a few different objects, and you get the hang of it real quick. It's also kind of fun because you're turning this object into something really cool with the shading. So object, blend options, 70 is fine. Then object, blend, make. There you go. A little too tight. Let's Control Z out of that. Let's do object, blend options. Let's dial that back maybe to 65. Object, blend, make. Still too much. Control Z. Object, blend options, 55. Okay. Object, blend, make. Alright, getting better. You want some consistency, so maybe I should have made the lines on the margins a little tighter. I can always go back and edit them. I'm not going to. This is just an example. Then object, blend, object, expand. Keep all the defaults, click OK. Now each line is editable. Now I go to eraser tool. A good idea is just to start erasing, where there's overlap. So obviously we can't use the overlap in this case that goes on top of the centerpiece here. Control Z. And do a little at a time, otherwise, for some reason, Illustrator, when there's too many lines involved, it starts to distort them a little bit. See that? See how they're not completely symmetrical? I'll show you how to fix that in a minute. I think I have too many lines for the shading. Okay. Let's do this. Control Z, probably tighten that up a little bit. Fine. And just go nuts to get a feel for it. Okay, use the white arrow for little individual edits, so I'm going to move this around. Move this around. Yeah, I'll keep it. Keep this. Get rid of this guy. Control Z. Nah, get rid of this. And then I'll just copy and paste that. Control C, Control V. Because it's not like Photoshop, right? It pastes right into the same layer. Kind of cool. Oops, Control Z. Get rid of that little guy. Alright. So it's getting a little easier to look at. Alright, a little easier on the eyes. Lock that layer and do it again. Alright, we'll call this a surface. I think what we use 65 for that? Surface 65 lines. Now that's important for more edits because right now we're at 200%. If I zoom into 100% and I find out that it's too tight, I'll do it again. Actually, not too bad, not too shabby. Okay, so let's add some curved lines. Alright, it's a little different than the line tool. We're going to use the pen tool for that, and I'm going to show you why. So we'll say, I don't know, we'll do the right curves for now. Right curves. Alright, so where's the pen? There it is, okay. So for here, you're going to click 2 points. And then the last point, it's a handle, so you're gonna kind of bend that line around. I'll show you what I mean. Click here, click and hold. See that? All right, so let's get it right on top of the existing line. Black arrow, Alt. Get that double, whoops, Alt. See what Alt does? Alt, Alt, Alt. Doubles up that arrow, so you know you're about to copy it. So Alt, drag that down, and then highlight them both. Same process. Object, blend, blend options. 55 is way too high for this. Let's do something like 25, see what that does for us. Okay, object, blend, make. Whoo, way too many. All right, so Control Z. Object, blend, blend options. Let's, I don't know, 10. Object, blend, make. Getting better. Control Z. object, blend options, let's do 8. And then object, blend, make. Alright, I'll roll with it. Okay, object, blend, expand. No, I guess we can do that, but I'm just going to use this, expand. Click all the defaults. Now it's editable. Grab your eraser and start adding your skill to it. So let me tell you what I do with curves. Because it's a small part, this product is pretty small, and these lines are kind of tight. I might not elect to use such tight lines, but again, an example. So I'm going to make this tighten this up a little bit. Okay, watch this. I'm going to make an arch that's very close to the same angle of the lines. And there's some distortion there. I'm going to fix those. I'm going to show you how. Again, the same thing. See that? So you get the idea. I think they're too tight though. So I'm going to Control Z right on back. And then blend options. Let's go with 5. Object, blend, make. Okay, a little better. The fewer the lines, the fewer the distortions when they're done. Alright, so let's expand it. Object, expand. Now it's editable, right? Alright, so again, we're going to stay very near to the current curvature when you run this through. See that? Nice and clean. Ah, fantastic. Alright, so let's get in there a little bit. I don't need this top one. There's too much overlap and it makes it too dark. A couple things you should keep an eye out for. I didn't modify the weight of these lines, right? There's a very specific weight that shading has to conform to. Here's how you change that. We're going to highlight them again. Under the stroke, you have an opportunity to change the weight of that. So if I do 0.25, it's going to narrow them up. See that? See what I mean? 0.25 is way too low. Let's do a 0.5. See that? And I'm going to do the same for the rest of these, just to make it consistent. So we'll make sure that the object itself has a weight. The standard lines, when imported, have a weight of about 1. The shading, I'm going to have a weight of around 0.5. Now again, check the USPTO documents online and make sure you're using the proper weights for your shading. Alright, so those are 0.5. I'm going to round off the edges of those lines, because if you zoom in, see that? They're squared. Not a big deal. I feel it's passable if it's squared, but I'm going to polish it up and make them rounded. This is how you do that. Draw a box around your shade lines. See the corners here? See how they're curved? See the caps? See how they're curved? So let's cap it with curved. So let's do this. Round cap. Bam. See that? Now because I highlighted everything, they're all curved. Right? So it looks much sharper this way. Let's go back to eraser. Get rid of, there's one right actually that overlapped on that line. You want to keep your overlapping down as much as possible. That's okay. Okay. So let's keep going. We're doing really good. So this is right curves. We used what? 8 for that? Let's double check. If we go to the blend options, we should see the same value. So we used 5 for that. So right curves, 5. That's a right curve. Let's use these call this a right inner curve. So we're going to lock this, make another one. We're going to focus on this angle right here. Use the pen tool again. Pen. Let's do this. Click. Click and hold. See that? Get some real control over that. Alright, so let's line that up as much as possible. Alright, black arrow. Alt. Double up that line, drag it down. Right on top of the other line. It extends beyond the point that we want, but we'll just erase it. Drag a line around both. Object, blend, blend options. It's a wider space. I'm not sure if 5 will work, but we'll give it a shot. Okay. Object, blend, make. Yeah, it needs to be tighter. Control Z. Object, blend, blend options. Let's do 10. Okay. Object, blend, make. Maybe 11. I wonder if we can do object blend and then change it if it's going to automatically adjust it. Let's go to 9 or 11. That'll be nice. Ah, yes. Okay, good. So that works. We don't have to control Z all the way. We can just modify it as we're working on it. Alright, so object expand. Makes them all editable. Zoom out a little bit. Get a better perspective on those lines. Okay. Eraser tool. Let's do... I like to click away so I can see them exactly as they are. So eraser tool. Let's get rid of this guys. It doesn't make any sense having it like that. Let's do the same kind of process. You want to follow that arch but slightly deviate from what it is, right? Right, so that's basically it. I'm just going to double check this one. .5 round caps. Alright, so there it is. Let's do maybe almost too much shading, but it still stands up as a decent tutorial, right? So let's do this one. Make sure all my layers are locked. I don't want to edit those again. Alright. So we're going to add another one. Same process as before. You can use lines for this. 0.5 is already pre-selected. Rounded caps is already selected. We'll do the top. bottom. Yeah, do bottom. Okay. Object, blend, make. Alright. Object, expand. Okay. Eraser tool. And we'll just alright. Oh, there's also this one, isn't there? Well, I don't want to drag this video out forever. It was just to demonstrate how to make hatch lines. Alright, so there it is. Let's zoom all the way out to 100, see what it looks like. Pretty decent. I think we are all set. Anyway, hope this is helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.